Walk through today our newly launched ETH reporting dashboards. And I'm your host, Bobby Lee, technical program manager here to help manage our developer community programming and initiatives in Discord. And we're excited to have you guys tuned in. So CDP, as you know, has created a platform that enables developers to help any business transition on chain. And we aim for our tools to continuously improve in efficiency and effectiveness, enabling us to contribute more meaningfully to the success of those building with our products. So to kick things off, I posted in the chat if we'd like to know what your go-to for measuring the performance of your crypto portfolio. So just take your time answering that. That's just something we're interested in learning about the audience today. We'll wait a few seconds and then we'll keep going and you can answer that whenever. Okay, so I just like to get started and keep moving. So let me introduce our presenter, Aaron. Aaron is a senior product manager focused on CDP staking. And the topics today he will go over is a walkthrough of our sample app and staking APIs to stake ETH. And he'll also go over a walkthrough of how to view your earned rewards using the staking API. And then he'll also go through a walkthrough of how to view your earned rewards using our reporting dashboard, and then links to everything related to this. So with everything, with all that being said, I just want to go over some housekeeping notes before we get started. So I know you're going to have questions maybe throughout the session, so just put those in the chat on the right, and we'll answer them at the end. And we will go over, try to monitor that throughout to make sure that everything's being answered and we won't miss your questions. And then we ask that we please keep your questions relevant to the topic and to be respectful to everyone who's speaking. And then this session will also be recorded. So if you need to jump out or you want to see it later again or share it with anyone else, we'll have it on the Coinbase YouTube channel. And when that's done and prepared, we will post that video in the staking channel and our events channel as well. Okay, so without further ado, I just want to get started and I'm going to hand it over to Aaron and he's going to share his screen.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bobby. Hi, everyone. Good to meet you all. So I'm just going to get my screen share going. I'm sharing my entire screen, which they always tell you not to. So fingers crossed, nothing goes wrong, eh? So as Bobby Lee mentioned, I'm a senior staking or senior product manager on staking at Coinbase. I look after a team which is building out the Coinbase staking API. So this is a non-custodial staking API, which allows fintechs, other platforms, crypto platforms to integrate and offer staking and rewards to their users. A big part of offering staking is also being able to measure the performance of your staking. You wouldn't give money to someone and not know how much is being returned ultimately. So with staking, it's very, very similar. And what we're aiming to do is provide a very transparent and clear way for folks to be able to understand the rewards that they've earned and what kind of performance they're getting from their staking activities. So I've got a bit of a demo today, which combines both the actual staking activities, how that looks through a UI as well as through an API, as well as a preview of our earnings dashboard, which has just recently launched as well. So to start with, I've got open a sample app. This sample app is stakemyeth.xyz. This was built within just a few days on top of our APIs. Again, our APIs are super easy to use. I definitely encourage everyone to go and have a look, and you'll see it within this presentation. But essentially, this was built on top of our APIs to just demonstrate the functionality of what staking can look like. Right now, I'm connected to my wallet, and I will say that this is Haleski, so don't be surprised that that number is so high there. And what I'm about to do is stake using something called shared ETH staking. So this is innovation that we have built into our API, and it allows you to stake less than 32 ETH on Ethereum. This is very unique. If anyone is familiar with staking, you'll know that you need 32 ETH to stake on a validator or to spin up a validator. What we've come up with is a series of smart contracts that we partner with Kiln on, which allows you to stake less than 32 ETH. We pull all of the ETH together and we simply spin up a validator to basically allow folks that have less than 32 ETH to still natively stake. So in this example, I'm going to stake 0.5 ETH. I'm going to click the stake button, really straightforward. And I'm going to go to my wallet and just double check that the transaction has gone through. I'm just going to reset the connection now. It's been a little while. So we'll go through this one more time. So I'm going to connect my wallet. I'm going to go back to the sample app. I'm going to stake 0.05. And I'm on my phone just clicking OK, confirming the transaction. And right now what's being done is our API is generating a series of transactions which have been signed by my wallet. And that has allowed us to stake 0.5 ETH on Heleski testnet. So you can see the testnet transactions which have been generated. You can see the value here, and you can see that this ERC20, which is Coinbase test staked ETH, has been transferred. Now, this ERC20 is almost like a receipt token. It's what represents your deposit. Because it is less than obviously 32 ETH, you own basically a share of a validator, and that ERC20 is what represents that share effectively. So as you can see, it's very straightforward via UI. And now I'm going to switch over to the code so you can actually see what it looks like from a developer's perspective. So the key line here is 31. All we're doing here, and this is pretty much the entire amount of code which is required to stake, but essentially all we're doing here is call in build stake operation off of the back of a wallet address which I've instantiated earlier. So wallet address dot build stake operation. I simply pass in the amount I want to stake. So let's up it. Let's just say 1 ETH, just because. I've said the asset I want to do. I can choose from others, as you can see here, but let's just say .eth. And then we have stake options, and in the mode, I put partial. Partial could be native if I had 32 ETH and I wanted to do native, or I can do partial, which is the shared equivalent. And so I'm going to now save this, and I'm going to run the code, and you're going to see just how easy it is, again, from a developer's perspective, to be able to stake. So live demos. Oh, we seem to have a bit of an issue. This is interesting. So I think a lot of this, as you can see, is obviously just a live demo. And right now it's complaining because I've been mixing between 32 ETH and also partial ETH. So I'm going to take a look at the transaction hash that it has and just see where exactly it failed, if at all. It could be a false error here. And it doesn't look like it has, which is good to see. So it could be just another error which was being generated once the transaction had gone through. But you can see here that it has indeed been broadcasted on chain. It's been successful. This is my 1 ETH again on the Heleski, which I've staked again to that ERC20 or via that ERC20 deposit receipt approach, which we use for shared ETH. And so you can see whether you're using UI or you're using effectively code, it's very easy to be able to stake using a staking API. And that's great. Again, staking is a key part of obviously the process of staking. But as I mentioned before, it's not just staking we want to do. We also want to be able to look at our rewards and be able to monitor our performance. So if I go to rewards, and this time I'm going to switch over to just mainnet or Ethereum. Here you can see my rewards are a little bit lower than the amount of ETH that I had previously. But you can see that we've got a nice UI tracker which shows your rewards, which is fantastic. And this as well can be accessed programmatically too. Again, I've commented this out, but if I uncomment this right here, we have a small code block which allows you to see how to pull rewards for this specific address. Of course, you can pass in an array of addresses. So you can pass in as many as you like. And I'm simply saying, hey, I want all of the rewards for the past 10 days. And then I want to print those out using the toString method to the console. And whilst we do that, I'm also going to just stop the actual broadcasting command, which we had earlier. So I'm going to press save. Now I'm going to go up. I'm going to press MPX. And what you can see here, if I make the screen a bit bigger, is you can see a printout of all of those rewards, which I applied the toString method on. You can see the address and you can see the amount that's being earned. Now, this is only a subset of the data which is available. If I switch over to this tab, you can see within Fetch Staking Rewards that there's a lot more functionality if you would like. So this is our API reference. We also offer SDKs across various different languages. But within here, you can see you have the ability to query your rewards by network, the asset, different addresses, different start and end times, formats, whether it's in USD or native. And then if I look at the response body, you'll see that we offer a lot more in terms of information in terms of what's going on. So even when it comes to USD values, we provide the amount, also the conversion price and the conversion time. And I will say that this is data which has been expanded upon. Our API is built on the same data which powers all Coinbase retail. So you can imagine there's quite a vast amount of data which we have access to. So this is the kind of first half of the presentation. The main aim was just to show you all just how easy it is, firstly, to use the UI to stake, but also the API, and then the same again for looking at rewards data as well. And as I mentioned before, right now we're playing around with shared ETH, but you could very easily also do 32 ETH by simply just changing a couple of the parameters here. Again, this is very, very easy to use. And in the background, again, I will say, if we are staking 32 ETH, all that's happening in the background is we spin up and manage that infrastructure for you. We manage the validator. You don't have to consider any of that. You're just able to stake very easily. So that's all great. Again, you're able to look at your rewards and you could go in and dive in with the API if you wanted more detail. But what's also useful is that we offer now this earnings dashboard. So this earnings dashboard is within the CDP portal. Everyone who stakes using the API will automatically have access to this, and they will see their rewards or their earnings start populating as soon as they begin using the staking API. Within this dashboard here, you're able to do a few things. So firstly, you can look at different timescales. You can look at the current month, previous month, the last 60 days. And within each of these, you'll see that the chart will basically adapt to show different types of data. And I'm gonna just refresh this because we are on local at the moment, and I want to make sure that the data is up to date. But as you can see, as we go back, the data populates for different months, for current months, the last 60 days, and we offer different types of data points. So firstly, you can have a better understanding of what is my overall total stakes balance. So how much is actually earning me rewards at any one time? What is the total amount of rewards I have earned? So, great, here is how much my staking balance is, how much is effectively my staking reward rate. Next, I want to understand how many of those rewards or how much of those rewards actually come into me, as a fee for operating validators. Node operators such as Coinbase do typically take a commission fee. And so you can see here, we have our gross rewards, net rewards, and then a commission fee being taken. And again, this is local data. So numbers will obviously look very different dependent on the user. But as I'm going through this, you can get a better understanding of the type of data we're showing. All of these types of data points are available within the dropdown, again, for you to interrogate, understand how your staking balance has changed over time, or for example, understanding how your gross rewards are accumulating over time. In addition to this, there's also PDFs and CSV downloads. So again, for those of you who really care about monitoring performance and really want to understand what is going on with your staking rewards, you're able to dive deeper into the PDFs and the CSVs and actually interrogate your rewards even sooner, or even deeper. Apologies. So here's an example of what the report looks like. This is actually some realistic data that we're using at the moment from production, and you can see this person or this ID has a a total staking balance of close to 7,000 ETH. They've earned 10 ETH or 12 ETH, I should say, in total. And we've taken just under 1 ETH in commission fee. And you can see from here, as I scroll down, here are all the validators which are running, their gross rewards. You can see the Coinbase fee being earned at any one time. And if you pay attention to this line here, you can see, for example, this line is a lot higher. So we capture all types of rewards, not just consensus, but also execution layer rewards. So for those of you who are familiar with ETH staking, you'll be aware that there are different staking rewards. And one of those are what we call consensus layer, and some of them are what we call execution layer. So we capture both of those in your reports. And what I'm showing you all now is something called Beacon Chain, which is a third-party website, which allows you to go into a lot more detail when it comes to individual validator performance, not necessarily portfolio, but validator performance. And here again, you can use this to verify the data that you're seeing. I would definitely encourage folks to just be aware of this website in general. Think of it as Etherscan, but more so for validators. And you can see that the execution and consensus spike happened around the 20th of November. And that is what accounts for this slightly higher gross rewards value in comparison to some of the other validators within this specific report. So this was just a quick overview of, again, staking API, how we can use staking API to stake, again, via UI, but also the API itself, view rewards data, and then most importantly, begin to look at reports themselves. I definitely encourage you, if you are staking, if you do look at ETH performance often, then let us know the kind of data points that would be useful to add to the earnings dashboard. This is, of course, just an MVP, but we'll be adding a lot more support and functionality going forward. So with that, Bobby Lee, I'll stop there and I'll hand over to you in case there are any questions.
Yeah, let's definitely go through them. I'm not seeing any come in, so you guys put some in there now if you have any, and then in the chat. And then in the meantime, I'll just ask you a few questions that I prepared. So, how can a validator balance be above 32 ETH? Question mark. And then on Ethereum, this should be limited.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you'll see for some validators, they are above 32 ETH, and completely right again. Most validator or all Ethereum validators are capped to 32 ETH. So this is a little bit more nuanced in the sense that yes, your effective balance or what you can earn rewards on is capped to 32 ETH, but because of the way in which the protocol is being designed, anything above that amount is typically held on the validator and then sent back to the withdrawal address more on a periodic basis. And so in those in-between phases where the rewards have not been swept back to your withdrawal address, they do stay on the validator. And that's why you sometimes see a higher balance than 32 ETH. Interestingly, with the next Ethereum hard fork next year, for anyone who's aware, we're going to be launching Petra next year, on Ethereum, and Petra will support more variable balances on validators, and we'll also introduce auto compounding. So I think that's going to be a very interesting topic. Talk about that hard fork, but essentially you'll see more variability in the future with regards to validator balances.
Got it. Okay, another question I prepared was, how can I find out rewards data is offered via the API?
Yeah. So if I go back to the API reference, there was some data which was shown within here, which goes through what we offer. But I would say that is only one approach. You can also go directly to the SDK itself, and you can take a look within, if I go to dedicated ETH usage and go to view staking rewards, you can also have a look at our library docs within here, and you can find out all of the different types of data points that we offer. We'll say that we are in the midst of revamping, I guess, this entire class here. And so there is going to be a lot more data points which we're introducing. So I definitely welcome, again, any feedback. If folks are looking for very specific data points, let us know. Gross API we're looking at, consensus versus execution layer we're looking at, and there's going to be various other types of improvements as well.
That's cool. Yeah, thanks for showing that. Okay, so in the meantime, until more folks ask questions, don't be shy, guys. Ask away. It can be total beginner questions or more thought out questions. It's no big deal. Yeah, so how do I know what good performance looks like?
That is a good question as well. For this, it does depend on the network. So right now we're focusing on Ethereum. Ethereum is what we specialize in. However, if you look across different networks, they all have their own equivalents of beacon chain. So Solana uses something called like Solana Beach, and that has details really of kind of like the top performing validators. So if I click on here and I look at Solana Beach, you're able to see some of the performance details. If I keep scrolling, you're able to see some of the performance details on this particular validator. Interesting enough, I might be looking at the wrong area on Solana Beach, so I'm just going to quickly move over to Beacon Chain and make sure you're aware of at least where it is here. Here it's a little bit clearer. You can see within general on the right-hand side, it includes an APR based by basically week, month, as well as year. And here you can work out again how performative your validator is compared to the average. Again, Solana does look a little bit different, depends where you're looking. Okay, cool. So here's a good view. For example, it shows you exactly what's going on in terms of the leaders, the throughput of the network, the performance of the network generally, and what's happening with other validators. So this is a great site for you to be able to do comparisons on.
Cool, yeah, we'll link that one too. Okay, question from the audience here. So this is my first look at the API. Can you explain what a typical developer use case is for this API?
Yeah, sure. So it depends on the type of developer you are and your application. I can speak about three different ones. So we recently integrated, for example, with Renzo protocol, if anyone's familiar. So they're a liquid restaking token, and they allow folks to restake their ETH. And so if you go on Renzo at the moment and you stake Ethereum on Renzo, they've got quite a bit at the moment. That will actually be using our API to power their experience. And so if you're building out a dApp which has a treasury, for example, an ETH balance, you can use our API to programmatically stake and unstake. So that's one example. Another example I'll share is, for example, staking rewards. For anyone who's unfamiliar, staking rewards, again, we'll talk about performance. I probably should have come to here. Within staking rewards, this also allows you to look at all of the different best performing, staking assets, look at the typical reward rates, and look at market caps. That gives you information on being able to compare between different operators. But what they've also done, if I go in here and just flip this switch, I can actually put in partial staking by Coinbase. And here they offer, again, they've integrated to our API. They allow folks to stake directly to Coinbase effectively through their front end. So this is a slightly different experience, but again, is a dApp. And then I will also point to other custodians. So we have like large exchanges, other custodians. When they want to offer staking to their users, again, they use our API to be able to interact with validators and basically just take out the responsibility of running the validators. All they have to do, as I mentioned before, is basically call this one line to be able to stake. So Renzo, as well as staking rewards, are kind of real life examples. I would say, yeah, for most developers, if you have access to ETH and you have like a sizable amount, then it makes sense for it to be staked, or at least some of it, and then you can unstake and stake, programmatically. But same goes for Solana. We offer staking to Solana, and there are more networks coming in the future.
Got it. Great question. Keep asking away, you guys. I have one more question. How can I access the reports? And then, what if I what if I spot a mistake on my report? What do I do?
Yeah. So everyone, again, who should be, hopefully everyone in this room is going to go back and use Staking API today. But anyone who's using the Staking API will have access to this earnings dashboard. It sits within the project level. So once you go to project, it will be the penultimate tab on the right. And once you click in there, as long as you have been staking, you'll see this begin to populate. The reports themselves are generated on a monthly basis. There's nothing you need to do. They'll just automatically populate. And you'll naturally just see again, as we roll out updates, these details, these dashboards become a lot more rich, so it can help you with tracking performance. Um, Outside of that, if there are problems or you spot a mistake, please reach out to us on Discord. We're more than happy to help. Of course, I think there's even a help button at the top here, so feel free to go directly there. Or I think Ellie's just posted it. You can comment in the staking channel within Discord as well.
Thank you. Okay, if you have any further questions or you want to keep the chatter going, we'll go also to that channel, the staking channel, after this event. So yeah, we want to keep this event short and sweet today. So yes, thank you so much, Aaron. This was awesome. Thanks for all of the demos of everything and running us through all of that. And we loved having you. And thank you for the audience. Thanks for coming today, you guys. We love doing these events. We're doing more hands-on workshop stuff as well. So watch our announcements channel for that and our events channel for that. And we also have a new show and tell channel that we are wanting to encourage you to share more of what you're building. Before we had a show and tell channel, and it was all the projects in there looked pretty polished, and so we thought it looked a little maybe intimidating for beginners and for folks joining our community. So we renamed it. It's called Community Projects now, that channel is, with more of the polished projects. So you can still add those in there for us to see. But show and tell is more of the more, I'd say, welcoming. You can post ideas in there. Maybe you want to work on something with someone else, or you have a half-built project and you just want to share your progress and your excitement for that. We're also using that channel to highlight builders and highlight community members for things that they're working on. So it's just overall really cool, exciting thing we're trying to switch up for community engagement. So yeah, so thank you again for joining us today, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys come back again to our other events. And thanks again, Aaron, for sharing. Yeah, love you guys. Thanks so much. See ya.